Good afternoon, everybody. Well, I am glad to be part of this egregious panel. Thank you very much for being part of it. Thank you very much to the GCCM for the invitation to this panel. This is an honor to me, and I guess to each one of you. Marcelo Freitas from Telecol, José Ricardo from Automatum or Automato? Automatum. Automatum, okay. Okay, then we have Jefferson from Vivo and Karine from Karine Consulting, right? They are all experts in capacity, wholesale, and whatever is new in this market. And it is an honor for all of us to have them participate in this very punctual and very and very specialized round table here. This is going to be a short round table. Unfortunately, I'd like to have about 3 hours for us to discuss everything, and so that you can also profit a little bit from the huge amount of knowledge that those participants, those panelists here have. But we'll try to make it entertaining and very objective, very succinct, very to the point, so that we use the next 45 minutes wisely, so that we use our time well and do not exceed the allotted time. The dynamics will be that first we'll have a short presentation, if you so wish, of the company that you represent here, about 2 or 3 minutes each, so only telling which company it is and what you do. Although most of you know those people, they are very famous in this environment. But anyway, they will present themselves, they will introduce themselves shortly, about 2 minutes, and their companies, and then we will proceed to questions. Those questions have been sent in advance. We have discussed them a little, and each one of us will be allotted about 4 minutes as the person to whom the question is directed. And after those 4 minutes, if anybody else in the panel wants to comment on that, they will be allowed some time to do that as well. And if they don't do that on their own, I will resend those pictures to all of you, all of them, okay? If it's agreed, we shall end in time. We have 4 obligatory questions and 4 optional questions, which are themes that if we do have the time, we can allot some time to address those 2. Those are items that I find very interesting, and I would like to have the time to at least discuss a little bit about them. And another thing, when we finish here, we will all be available outside, so any question or any comments you wish to make, you just approach any of us, and we'll be only too glad to go on and pursue those matters a little bit further. Are we agreed? And we also will call you, the public, to make your own comments when it applies. Because I think some of the issues here are important to all of your companies. And there's a lot you can say and contribute. Unfortunately, there's only a very short time. But anyway, if time allows, you will be able to express your views here in public. And if not, then outside we can pursue the matter further. Okay? So thank you very much. My name is Cristiano Ferraz. I am the Chief Technology Officer of Netcon. Very shortly, Netcon is an engineering and consulting company for the telecoms sector. And we have 3 verticals. One of the verticals is engineering and consulting. We do projects in telecommunications, especially for mission-critical networks. We do not provide the technology, but we select the technology. We design the networks for our customers, and they present their solutions to public concourses, public bids, and if they win, then we are able to help them implement them. That's one of the verticals. The second vertical is what we call Connect Master, which is a software that allows you to plot all of your connections, both the physical connections, which is usually an opaque layer of the network, plus the logical connections on top of the physical network, so that you have a common and unique database reflecting everything that's connected in your networks. And on top of that, we have applications that range from customer management to commercial programs to provisioning systems across the network. So what we do is bring every part of the network into a common information model, put it on this database, which is location related, and then on top of that, you can build, or we can build, or integrate applications to that. And our third vertical is software development, because when we integrate, we need to have developers. I have my friend André Ribeiro down there. He is the leader of our team of about 30 developers who help integrate whatever business support systems or network support systems into this common database for you to operate that. So that's a little bit about the company I work for. And I've been a long time in telecommunications, and I think there is enough road behind me so that we can talk about most of the matters here. So in order, let's begin by Marcelo Duarte. Do you want to say a few words about telecom?
Perfect. First of all, good afternoon for everybody. My name is Marcelo. I'm in charge of the wholesale, domestic wholesale and MVNO on telecom. It's a pleasure to be here on GCCM to see partners, to see friends. You know that the wholesale market in Brazil is so small that you know everyone. So it's a pleasure to meet everyone here. First of all, who doesn't know telecom? We have more than 26 years on the market. We are a multinational company with office in Japan, in London, in Portugal, in Lisbon, in Miami, and here in Rio de Janeiro. With this office, we work for the wholesale in general, using for voice, SMS, and data service. In particularly in Brazil, we have a license for MVNO also. Working for M2M, B2C, and B2B customers, using infrastructure from Telefónica, from Vivo as a partner from Vivo, exploring this niche of market specifically in Brazil.
Thank you, Marcelo. To my left is José Ricardo Formaggio. He is the founder and owner and CEO of Automaton. Automaton, okay. In Portuguese, it's Automaton. Okay, yeah. Easier to pronounce in Portuguese. José.
Thank you. So I'm José Ricardo, CEO of Automaton. And Automaton was created in 2017. And we explore basically consulting services. In particular, those services related to business process improvement and optimizations. And of course, we provide these services not only in Brazil, but all in Latin America. And of course, to complement these kind of services, we offer all the TM Forum portfolio trainings. So just for you have a very brief idea, we are talking about courses related to architecture, business process, information integration, and digital maturity model, and others. Yeah. So basically is this. And thank you very much for the invitation to attend this panel with these distinguished professionals. Thank you.
Thank you, José Ricardo. Well, next in line here is Jefferson. Jefferson works for Vivo. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the company?
Yes, sure.
Nobody knows Vivo here, right?
I guess. Yes. So I'm the sales manager at Wholesale Vivo. No, and in Vivo, our proposal is to make the digital transformation to bring people together, to connect people, And in wholesale area, we just do that, helping carriers, internet providers, and partners, to connect a huge country like Brazil, So we use our net to do that, and also we use like our solution in IoT, cybersecurity, and open gateway, and a lot of solutions that we have already in our portfolio of products, to help to make their operation more efficient, and safe. That's it.
Excellent. Well, you don't have to say much about Vivo because everybody knows Vivo, of course. It's one of the three big players here in in the connectivity market and services market. So alongside with Tim and with Claro. Okay, so those are the three big companies in telecommunications in Brazil, although there are many other companies that also act there either regionally or in specific market segments. But the only all-encompassing ones are those, right? And finally, Karine. Before I direct Karine to the answer, I would like to say that, just to explain why we are doing this in English instead of doing it in Portuguese, as we usually did in the past. We're doing this in English because this is being recorded and will be later be divulged over the networks, over the internet by GCCM. So this has to be in English because they have a very large public worldwide. But if any of us feels more comfortable in Portuguese, I take the responsibility of doing a short summary of what they say in English, translating it into English later on. And whatever questions that you have, you may also ask them in Portuguese, and I will gladly translate into English to the panel and for the recordings, okay? So Karine is very well known in our medium also. Karine is a consultant, an engineer, very technical background, but now she does consulting, especially in processes and telco transformation and such things. Can you tell us a little bit about you?
Obrigada. Como ele falou, eu me sinto mais confortável em português, então eu vou falar em português e ele vai fazer um pequeno resumo no final. Meu nome é Karine, alguns aqui já me conhecem. Eu tenho uma empresa de consultoria. Essa empresa de consultoria ela faz a conexão da parte técnica com as questões regulatórias. Tá? Hoje a gente está presente dentro do mercado brasileiro. A gente tem um escritório que fica em Portugal, que cuida todas as questões, tanto técnicas e regulamentares da Europa, e a gente tem um escritório que fica em Boston, que faz a mesma parte. Tá? Em Boston, hoje, a gente tem toda a parte técnica, então a maior parte do nosso time técnico ele fica hoje em Boston. Então, a gente ajuda tanto operadoras e provedores a fazer essa conexão entre todos os projetos técnicos que eles necessitam. Então, a gente cria projetos técnicos para esses provedores, para essas empresas, e olhando sempre o regulamento, as normas regulares, seja do país onde ele está, ou o país que ele queira entrar. Muito obrigada.
Thank you, Karine. Well, what she described is what her company does. It's a consulting company specialized in regulations of each of the markets they are present in, and they do the bridge between the technical parts of the networks and services and the regulations of each of the countries. Okay, so they have offices in Portugal and elsewhere, and whenever a company goes abroad, they can be supported by Karine's consulting group. Okay, so that's mainly what you do, if I understood you well. Okay. So let's proceed to the questions that we have here. There are many questions, and let's try to go through at least some of them. The first question has to do with the market challenges that present themselves to the players in the wholesale business, okay? And the question is, what do you see as the main current and future market challenges and opportunities for investors in the wholesale telco industry? So what new services are coming? What's going to change? What's going to happen over the next few years? And to our specialist in telco transformation is to whom I direct this question initially, but any of you are free to answer if you want to contribute something, okay?
Thank you, Cristiano. So I think one of the key challenges in this kind of industry is basically about how to prepare and to support the network issues, evolution, and so on. And of course, to guarantee this kind of things, it's very important that you have a very good architecture that supports all the system evolvement, and of course the new generations of systems oriented to components. Because when you see, for example, the OSS and BSS markets, it is basically in a huge applications. And of course, to evolve this kind of application, you have need to invest a lot. And of course, you have a very difficult, because the amount of integrations is large. Yeah, so this is the difficult of the most of the telcos around the world. And if you look 10 years ago, most of them decide to contract and to deploy very large number of systems together, the same vendor, yeah, because to reduce the risk of integration, yeah. So in this kind of architecture I am talking now is basically oriented to components, very little software components. So we reduce the risks, you reduce the effort to deploy, to evolve, to operate those components. Completely different to the huge applications I talked a few minutes ago. So this is a kind of evolution that most of companies around the world are pursue at this moment. Yeah. So I defend a lot in Brazil, in Latin America, this this migration of approach. So this is, in my opinion, a very challenge, not only to carrier companies, but all the companies in the telecommunications value chain. Right. And the second one, it's about human factor. Yeah. In TM Forum, we know this is a human factor, because everything that I just said cannot be real if you don't prepare properly the professionals. So because of this, including Automaton decide to offer, not only in Brazil, but in all Latin American markets, all the TM Forum training portfolio. We have trainings to everything that you can imagine, since architecture, process information, and so on. So I think this is two factors and challenge that we have to address in the next years.
Well, thank you, José Ricardo. I concur with what you said. There is one thing, I come from the technology side of things, and one thing that I see is that in the past, it was very difficult to integrate the operations of different systems from different vendors, even within the same companies, and to provision systems, to provision connections across different systems. In the last decades, there has been a huge effort towards creating models that may be implemented everywhere, and also do the provisioning and basing the knowledge of the connections in the network on a common ground. So interfaces have been created so that interaction between the orchestrators, the network management systems is easier today. But there's still a lot of work to be done in order to achieve that, and a lot of effort is being done at this moment. This is still a big challenge, but it opens opportunities for everybody who works in that environment, which is creating solutions that will work in a diverse environment. And I think that is one of the good things that's going to happen. Does anybody want to add something here?
Yes, I think also the infrastructure, it's really a challenge, because you can imagine a huge country like Brazil, to connect all. So I read last week that 58% of Brazilians just have the mobile phone as a device to connect to internet. So that's in the last 2 weeks ago, I was in Rondônia, it's north state of Brazil.
Oof.
So it's really amazing, you know. I just go north to south of the state, you know, and everything, the sky is just gray. And you can imagine why it's gray. You think it's cloud, but it's not, you know. It's just ashes. The whole state is just burning. And you can imagine how provider internet can just keep the network on, you know, so because all around the roads is just burning. So how can they connect on? So we still have this challenging is to keep, and infrastructure is definitely a point, you know.
Right. So there is a lot of opportunity for expanding network services and also doing something for our forests here. Right. Do you want to add something? Or?
Just to complement, you know that we have a few minutes, but I saw some information in the internet based on some important report that we received daily, and we saw that close to 32% of Brazil, of the roads that we have in Brazil are covered. Only 32%.
Only 32%.
Only 32% is covered.
Well, in the United
you know
States,
that
it's a little bit different because you have neutral radio access networks,
Exactly.
which cover those roads, and then you can
Exactly.
still talk
So-
over the cell phone.
Yeah, we see this answer in two perspectives. Specifically in Brazil, we have a big challenge regarding the coverage. Yeah, Natel is trying to bring some regulatory opportunities regarding private network, regarding new frequencies, new applications to be open for enablers, just like Telecom, that we are doing private network to complement ourselves in terms of not only from industrial perspective, but also in terms of complementary coverage. This is a Brazilian perspective. We know that there is a lot of others. Take a look at the wholesale perspective, a lot of other challenges that we are addressing. Just for example, capacity planning. When you see this network, the static network that we work nowadays, it's not possible to have a preventive capacity planning. Automation process coming with orchestration using CDN, SDN as infrastructures is coming. So, and also for availability of the system. We have three main gaps in addition with the Brazilian perspective of coverage, of accessibility, of connectivity. To complement that, we are bringing this perspective of technology, bringing out of Brazil to be addressed.
That's very good. So you identified an investment opportunity also for those who want to invest in open RAN and neutral network offerings and connectivity to those companies that do not want to invest in infrastructure. So that's good. Yes, that's one of the questions that was here. Ok.
Eu só vou complementar um pouquinho, porque quando a gente olha, a gente tem realidades diferentes em determinadas regiões. Como ele mesmo falou, né? Ele teve recentemente em Rondônia e veio uma realidade totalmente diferente do que você encontra em grandes centros. Então, eu ainda vejo que, acredito que até estava falando um pouco antes com o Marcelo, quando a gente olha para dentro do território brasileiro, a gente vê não só diferenças culturais muito grandes, mas o poder de investimento das empresas. Exemplo, a Vivo, a Oi, que são empresas um pouco maiores, elas acabam tendo uma diferenciação nessa evolução tecnológica, diferente de outras empresas um pouco menores, que elas conseguem investir mais em tecnologia. Então, e hoje a tecnologia ela muda muito rápido. Então, se a gente for olhar a velocidade com que a tecnologia muda para se aplicar dentro de norte a sul, dentro do território brasileiro, com empresas tão diversas, empresas que têm realmente capacidade de investimento, tá? Mas que talvez, por ter um parque tecnológico tão grande, não consiga fazer essa mudança muito rápida, e as empresas pequenas, que ou não têm esse poder de investimento, mas ela tem essa necessidade por não ter outras concorrências locais, por exemplo, em Rondônia, ou Manaus, Amazonas, essas regiões, ela acaba não tendo essa possibilidade desse investimento muito rápido, dessa transformação muito rápida. Tá? E a gente tem uma contrapartida, como você falou, o regulamento. Então, todas essas Essas pontas, elas precisam casar, e eu acredito que esse é o maior desafio, ao meu ponto de vista como consultoria, que o maior desafio é você fazer essa conexão entre essas mudanças rápidas da tecnologia com o investimento necessário, com o regulamento necessário e com as necessidades locais das regiões.
Well, that's a lot of information to summarize here, Karine.
Sorry.
So she was trying to describe that Brazil is a very diverse country, and this diversity affects not only the adoption of technology, but also the size of the companies and how the sheer size of companies interfere with their decisions on the technology they're going to invest in. And large companies are usually a little bit slower to adopt newer technologies because they move like a large ship. Small companies will have local conditions that will allow them to adopt new technologies, and this reflects in everything that we do here in Brazil. But also, on my side, I see that there is a huge opportunity for smaller and very agile companies to act and fill in the blanks, not only in the back roads of Brazil, but also in the large cities, to cover those areas which large companies are not able to address, at least not in the beginning, right? So I think it's more or less in the sense of what you said. Thank you very much, Karine. Oof, this is going to last longer than I thought, but let's go. No, and if you let us talk here, we'll talk for 2 hours, and there's always a lot of insights, and I'm sure that you have things that you'd like to add yourselves to. But let's see, the next question would be, regarding new businesses and services, how do you see the growth of wavelength services? Now I am addressing the wholesale market especially, right? Wavelength services is selling lambdas instead of selling capacity in bits per second, right? Wavelength services, both in Brazil and worldwide. How is this going to develop? And how do you expect the market and the prices to evolve? Initially, I could address everybody here, but I have to choose someone, so I'm choosing you first.
Okay, sure.
Okay?
So,
Jefferson.
Yeah, thanks. You said about the price, so I think it's really hard to predict the prices, where the prices are going, because we have just like fast changes with new technology, like artificial intelligence and all kind of. So what I see, it's more the companies just bring the complex solutions to the pain that the small company just needs, for their customers, So I think that's the point that we're gonna just evolve to that, just like what I see,
Okay, so for the time being, there's not much movement in the way of offering wavelengths to the public, right?
No, I think always have, like we at Vivo, we are just trying to bring more like IoT, big data, and all kind of solution just to complete and make the operation to our customers just better. It's like it's rare when you talk about some network project and not talking about cybersecurity. So it's an obligation by now. So that's what I see.
Thank you, Jefferson. Would anybody like to add to that? You, for example, or Karine, or nope? Anybody in the public would like to add to that? I ask this question because I see elsewhere in the world many companies starting to offer wavelengths instead of offering only 100 megabit per second or 200 megabit per second, and installing agile switched networks, ASONs, automatically switched networks, in order to provide service end-to-end as a wavelength with a given bit rate per second. But instead of doing that in the multiplexing section, doing that as a wavelength transmission service. And I was just asking if you have any comment on that.
Only to, once nobody comments, I can only compliment yourselves that nowadays, on the regulatory perspective, I think that Anatel already did their job in terms of offering of prior usage and secondary usage in terms of frequencies. So there is no rule to define a solution, a delivery solution for the customer. Depends on your needs, depends on your application, depends on what are your features that you need to be applied on your needs. So you need a specialized company to understand very well their needs, to complement with not only one technology, with a complementary solution, 2, 3, or even 4 technologies to complement. For example, in terms of coverage of events, for example, teams of football. There is only one solution. No, there is a coverage of the big companies. There is Wi-Fi 6 available. There's frequencies that we can use, or even if more distance solutions or distance needs, you can use satellites. Or nowadays, it's more accessible. Costs involved on that.
So your point is that in optical transmission, there will be capacity and wavelengths, either in the backbone for the own configuration inside the company, and sometimes offering wavelengths as a connection service to the public.
Exactly, to complement their needs.
Okay, thank you. Well, third question, so we're moving a little bit faster now, thank God. So what do you think are the main new technologies that may shape the products and services? And how will those technologies help you achieve that goal? So this question is about new technologies. What new technologies are coming and what new services are coming to play in our environment? And those new technologies, how they're going to help achieve more diversity in the offerings, in the capacity offerings and wholesale offerings, okay? So do you want to take over that question, that answer?
Yeah, sure, sure. I think the basic point in these questions, if you regard, let's say, the last 100 years in our history, we can observe that every time that a new technology is launched in the market, first of all, it provokes a lot of new needs that usually never will be thought before. So this is a very strong characteristic. And for just to illustrate the point, if you look at the 5G, we have some very interesting new products and service that it's already a reality right now. Just to make some examples, in telemedicine, you can use now a remote control in surgery robot. This is applied, including Brazil currently. Before those new technologies, this is almost impossible to think about it. The same, autonomous vehicles, yeah? You need a lot of very low latency and, of course, a very high data transmission speed. If you don't have this, it's impossible to offer this kind of product. And other examples, to a drone that you can use to deliver goods in a very precise address using GPS and high-speed videos, yeah, and a lot of other examples. And so all of these illustrate always the same behavior.
Right.
There is the new needs. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So what I gather is that, for example, the technology behind that is network slicing. 5G networks will support all those kinds of IoT services that you mentioned, plus the traditional video and voice telecommunications, video streaming, etc. But they will do that by slicing the networks into specialized slices that attend to the delay, quality, bandwidth, and opportunity of communications. And this is a new technology, actually, and is a new concept which is included in 5G. 5G networks will address, they have 3 different types of IoTs that will be attended by different slices. And so also, a generic network will have to work with those slices so that a group of services sharing the same needs, the same traffic descriptors will be allowed to be pushed through the network, adhering to whatever is asked of them. So that's what you're talking about, right? So the enabling technology behind that is, of course, network slicing. And this is inherent in new networks, both in optical networks as also in mobile phone networks, mobile networks. So I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. And maybe any other kinds of network technologies also that can allow this. Slice is just one of them.
Yeah, this is of course much simpler than what we had before. Before that, we had to do traffic engineering, and each connection, each flow in the network would have to be assigned a certain quality of service or class of service in order to be forwarded in the network. This network slicing facilitates that and lets this extend to all services. So I think this is, I agree with you, it's a very good technology point. Karina?
Eu vejo também uma outra coisa. Mudou a forma não só das empresas interagirem dentro de si, mas como a população ela interage. Então, a forma com que hoje a gente utiliza as coisas, ela mudou. Então, a gente hoje tem machine as a service, tudo que a gente possa imaginar, ele mudou a nossa forma de interação. Então, quando a gente olha para as novas tecnologias, a gente tem que olhar como a gente hoje se interage a isso, né? Então, hoje a gente tem, na parte de, por exemplo, de cibersegurança, a gente consegue determinar, por exemplo, qual tipo de tráfego que um cliente vai ter dentro da área de engenharia. Você consegue hoje, dentro do cliente que contrata, identificar, através de uma inteligência artificial, um treinamento de inteligência artificial, qual o perfil de cada um do teu cliente. Tudo hoje virou uma forma de você utilizar essas novas tecnologias, né? A forma com que você analisa isso tudo, o próprio, quando a gente olha essa interação humana, dessas modificações tecnológicas muito rápidas, tudo hoje virou tecnológico, e tudo hoje virou um serviço a prol da tecnologia. Quando a gente olha um pouquinho a Vivo ela entrega hoje o serviço de fim a fim para o cliente dela.
Yes.
Né? Então, acredito que é mais essa transformação tecnológica, essa mudança, ela vai mais de como a gente interage com essas novas tecnologias do que só com a mudança tecnológica em si. Tá?
Well, what she was commenting is that it's not only the new technologies that come around, but also the way people, human subjects, interact with the new technologies. And this is something that must work together. Everything must work together, and we must be very much aware of the needs and the ways in which people interact with the companies. And the companies offering connectivity, they must be aware of what the public demands, right? And the technology is just something that is underlying all that, and the technologies need to adapt to those behavior changes in the customer relations with the service provider, so that whatever you offer as a service complies with what the customer needs, right? Yep. Okay. I concur.
Christian, if you allow me, and I think the artificial intelligence is the key. You know, we are talking about new technologies, so I think it's definitely at Vivo we are just doing that with cybersecurity, IoT. You know, so we cannot imagine cybersecurity without AI.
Artificial intelligence.
That's the point.
Well, taking advantage of your comment, I will not comment on that, but I will introduce the next question, which is write something concerning cybersecurity, right? Considering that cybersecurity and defense strategies against cyber attacks, those are a major issue today. I think everybody here recognizes that those are major issues here. among users of what services companies represented here offer, which is capacity services mostly, what defense strategies do you implement in your network and in your services to protect your customers? And what strategies do you recommend that your customers avoid? Or what part of cybersecurity can you offer customers of capacity services, of your capacity services, your interconnection services, and what do you recommend the customers adopt, right? Primarily, I think that you, Marcelo, can answer that question as well. This was directed at you initially, but you can either complement or do the initial answer. You prefer to complement? Okay, so Marcelo goes on.
Sure. In terms of security, I think that most of innovative neighbor company, just like Telecom or other company that already exists in Brazil, works with the most of the technology that we have nowadays for all lines of service, not only for data, as you meant regarding cybersecurity, but also for voice and SMS. Everybody knows about the fraud that we already saw, that we suffered in the past on SMS. We're using A2P applications that we would need to have a specific platform to avoid denied service or even build shocking infrastructure of a lot of messages receiving from the customers. So what differentiates nowadays with the technology is how artificial intelligence and machine learning can help to not only to avoid, because anyway we have technology for that, but to expedite the reaction for the implementation of solution and to be as lower impact for the end customer. You know that nowadays customer experience is most important to remain or to grow our revenues. The point here is everybody's going to suffer any day, in any time. The point is how you do your react and how fast you can be. I think that artificial intelligence came with machine learning to help us to expedite the reaction of the companies. And of course, protect our infrastructure. You know that once impacting, anyway, it's already impacted. You not only have to protect, to avoid or to deny that attack, but again, to reconstruct anything that was impacted at that moment. Intelligence artificial and the machine learning came to protect and prevent infrastructure. Besides of that, we can see that intelligence artificial comes also to be predictive in terms of impacting. Mainly for mobile infrastructure that we see nowadays, that when a customer, when you notice that something happened, because when your alarm says something, already happened the problem.
Yep.
The predictive infrastructure, you can identify the tendency, the trends of what's going to happen and react before the service is totally out of service, you know. I think that this is the most benefits that this new technology is coming to expedite the reaction of the companies in whole line of business, not only for cybersecurity, not only for voice, data, a multi-service infrastructure, you know, in general.
Well, your comments are very appropriate, and they raise a lot of other questions about the techniques that we may use. But to sum up, you suggest that companies that offer connectivity, they must worry about providing a good level of security in communications to their customers, first line of defense, quick repair and prevention instead of waiting until something goes down, immediate recovery, and for that, you can only do that using behavior analysis through examining big data, a lot of information coming from the network, and that requires automation, which only artificial intelligence and machine learning can help. Yeah, even so, the investments are huge, right? But the question is, will the customers pay for this extra layer of cybersecurity? Do you think customers are ready to pay for that?
I think yes. You know, I think the point, the strategy, you must know the customer. You know, you must know the vulnerability, how vulnerable they are at that point. You know, to make sense what you're gonna propose as a solution. You know, I think that's a really point. I mean, cybersecurity is just complex. It's not about if you're going to be attacked, it's when you're going to be attacked. So the customer must, everyone must be as an investment, nor not as a cost. You know, I think that's a great point about it. You know?
Well, our roundtable here is coming to an end, and there is not very much time left. I would have time for one more optional question, but on this question of cybersecurity, does any of you in the public wish to add something about a different view, an innovative view, or something to that? If you wish, a microphone will be available to you. No interaction with the public. Well, I expected that you would have a lot to say, because knowing some of the companies and the strategies that you are adopting, there are things that you wish to share, but you surely be able to do that outside during the talks, right? There is one last question that I could address to the public here regarding something that was suggested by GCCM, which is digital fluency. So what is digital fluency? It goes beyond digital literacy, and it means that everybody in the future is going to have not only to be able to understand the digital world, which is digital literacy, but also be fluent in this new language, in those new applications. We as a company have always struggled to get enough developers with power of coding, analyzing processes, analyzing business, and doing their jobs properly, because there is very little training in Brazil for that. And not only in my function in the company, but also in my function in the industry association here in Rio de Janeiro, we initiated an experience 5 years ago, which is called Software Residency Program. We gathered not only the companies that need this literacy and fluency, but also the industry. There is a technology point here in near Rio, where many companies are gathered who need those developers, and we were not finding them here. So we started in a cooperation with the industry association, with the technical institutes here, and started a software residency program. So it take about 180 people, technicians or engineers or software developers, and take them to a course lasting 5 months. At the end of this course, or already during the course, the industries in the region will hire them to work as system developer, as software developers. And this has been a huge success. So over the 5 years, we have about 300 people by each year. So altogether in 5 years, 1,500 new software developers here. This has been a very good initiative. We had to no, of course, the industry is not going to put all the money. So we get some state money for the training. We provide the teachers, we provide the training environment, and we provide the first jobs. And this has supplied our market in Rio quite well. So regarding digital fluency, this initiative has proven to be very good. But so every year we have those people coming. This cooperation includes the industry. That's the main point. The main difference is that schools, technical schools, will teach students to program theoretically, but we do that in practice. They start producing after 2 months training. The last 3 months, they spend this time with a mentor within the companies, and they start doing productive work there. And then when they are at the end, of the 180 people that attend each promotion, 170 are hired by the companies and go on working for them after that. And what other initiatives do you see as important to, or do you see this as a good thing that we're doing there? We as industries, we see very much value in that. And it's the first successful program that I have seen recently. You cannot leave that only to the state schools, but integrate those people into the industry has been successful here. But as to digital fluency, how else could we contribute? What are we not doing in order to get the workforce that we need for what you said, artificial intelligence, for new technologies, all that we have been talking here? We don't have the manpower. We need to have them. So how do we achieve digital fluency? Not only from the public, but also from developers, not only from users of technology, but also for the huge work of developing everything that hides behind. We talk about artificial intelligence, but we do not talk about the huge amounts of time and work to get things working here. As a company that develops software, we are sorely aware of what we need and don't get, especially because there are many fewer programmers than are needed by the Brazilian market. And this deficit means that we hire somebody, and then there is a huge risk that when he's trained, he will be captured with higher salaries by somebody else. So we need to keep them also in the company. So what can we do to help? This is the last provocation that I have to everybody here in the room. What can we do to make that situation better? Does anybody want to contribute?
Yeah, I can say some words about this. For example, I mentioned, I think in my first answer, that Automaton brings to Brazil all the TM Forum portfolio to courses. So it's very specialized courses that we believe the manpower you mentioned can take a lot of advantage in terms of specialization, capacity in new technologies like open digital architecture, like enhanced telecommunications, operations map, Python, to see the open APIs. There is, the very large and recognized integration standard in the world. Most of OSS and BSS vendors around the world use this inside their respective solutions. So we have a lot of trainings for artificial intelligence, digital ecosystems, and many. So we are very open to contribute on this. Yes, for sure.
That's good. Noted. Would you like to add something? You do? Please.
That's a nice challenge for, I believe, for all the industry, no? My perception is that the software industry is becoming an old industry, and we must embrace and race towards new technologies like low code, no code, using artificial intelligence. Now I believe it's the time to have machines making machines from the software house. I believe we must go in the direction. It will be never enough manpower to deal with the complexity, in my opinion.
I concur. I agree with you. So if the industry does nothing and does not train people on the job, there's nothing done. That's my view. Does anybody want to add something?
Yeah, me. Just to talk that we have at Vivo, we have the Telefónica Institute, with 1,000 of initiatives on the digital influence, for people, So this is definitely a point to develop in Brazil, and this is what we do. That's it.
Thank you very much, Jefferson. Well, that's a challenge that all companies present here will have. So if you want to enroll in the Industry Association of Rio, Firjan, you can help in any way, get those people to yourselves. That's the last note of the day. Please help, and then we'll move on. Brazil is going to be a good place for software, for bringing software developers to help all this change. So if you have been involved in the process, you know the huge amount of knowledge and work that all those new technologies will bring, and somebody has to do the work, right? Well, I must thank you very much for your participation here. Unfortunately, we have to end now. There's no time left. I have exceeded even my allowance of 5 minutes more. So we'll have to close here, but we'll be available outside if you wish to pursue those matters further, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.